Okay if I talk?
Mm.
All right.
Don't move.
I already had a test for my nerd cred this year, but I don't think I...
Hey, look. Reaction time is going to be a factor in this, so please pay attention and Wild, answer as quickly as you can.
Sure.
A113.
That's the Disney thing.
The what?
The number in all the Disney movies.
Right. So do you like Disney?
Yeah, I guess, kinda. Is this part of the test?
Just warming us up. That's all.
Is this the test now?
Yes. Now, you're walking in a comic book store. You're walking along, and there on the shelf, you see a comic.
Which one?
Which what?
What store?
Well, it doesn't really matter. This is all completely hypothetical.
How come I'm in that one? I hate that one.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the other stores are closed. Maybe you want to see what all the fuss is about. Who knows? But you are looking, and over on the side you see a Batman comic, and it's nice and pristine. It's got a variant cover on it.
Variant? What do you mean?
Well, you know what a variant is. It's something different than the original cover.
Of course I do.
Okay, well that's what I'm talking about. It's a #1 limited edition.
I've never actually seen that one.
Okay, you reach over and you flip through it, but then suddenly sinuses are full and you blow your nose in it.
Do you make this shit up as you go along, Mr. Sunrie, or did they write them down for you?
There it is. You're holding that comic. You've blown your nose in it. Nobody's ever going to want this again. And suddenly you realized you've got a bad case of swamp ass, and so you wipe your ass with it.
What do you mean I blow my nose in it, then wipe my ass with it?
I mean, that's just what you do. Why would you do that, Wild?
What the fuck? Why are you doing this to me? I would never do that to Batman. I love Batman. You're a fucking ass. I'm going. No, not the butt.
Nerd is the new sexy.
So, welcome to the podcast. We're on what one, Wild?
48.
40 freaking 8. So, thank you all for listening to us for this long. We really appreciate it. We've been doing this not only just for 48 episodes, but that means 48 weeks of our lives we have done this because our fans.
Yes. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Absolutely. So tonight, not necessarily talking about Blade Runner, but we are going to get somewhat political, but not really. And what I mean by that is, with the question, do androids dream of electric sheep? At what point do you grant AI civil and human rights?
Yeah, I don't see that as being political. I see that more as like a sci-fi politics. So,
yes, and this is something that's been talked about for a very long time.
Oh,
now,
it's been mentioned in like Star Trek. It's been mentioned in, of course, what we just spoofed. What was
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. You know, I mean, look at it this way. It's even been in the Transformers movies.
That's right. Yeah. Oh man. But before we get started, now we normally record these on a Friday night, which is what tonight is.
Yes.
Not necessarily the night you're listening to it, which comes out on Sunday generally. But tonight we have a really cool event that I hope all of our nerds got to witness. Was the mid-eclipse at 7:44 p.m. and the starting of the eclipse at 5:30, the penumbral, I should say, lunar eclipse.
The vagina lunar eclipse.
Vagina lunar eclipse. Now, what makes us different than a total eclipse is we are not completely blocking out the rays from the sun. Some of that can get by. So the moon looks kind of weird. It's a full moon, but it's not real bright. And the other thing is Comet 45P, also known as the Honda Merkos, and I'm not even going to pronounce that last name, Comet.
You please.
Yeah. Poduzakova. I don't speak Russian.
It's some Russian name, I guess.
Now, it's really cool because if you're somewhere pretty dark like I am, I'm in the northern end of Nevada, and there's nobody here, which is I love, you can actually see this greenish little dot up in the sky with telescopes and even your naked eye. When you have a real
it's got like a blue ass on it. It's kind of
nice. It's got a blue ass on it, and it's pretty cool. Now, you're going to be able to see that pretty much all month long, which is cool. But this very kind of not super rare, but rare enough that we need to talk about it. Lunar eclipse is happening on Friday, and I hope you guys got to see it.
So, and if you missed the comment tonight, and I've got a comment to say about this, a comment about the comet. If you missed the comet tonight, it's supposed to come back in the year 2022. Now, my question is this: is this like the old Mario Brothers game where space, like you just go through one end and you start on again on the other end?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That's like a loop.
How do you know where the fucking universe ends and they're like, oh, I'll be back in 2022?
Well, it's because it's on an orbit, ass.
Well, I kind of get that, but I think that's funny enough to bring up. Like, does the comet have a respawn point? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck,
Yeah.
dude. But
now I am still getting over pneumonia, so if I start hacking and coughing after laughing, that's what's going on. That's why I wasn't there this past week. And I did get back from my honeymoon / anniversary with cuteness, so we will have pictures on the Facebook page
Disneyland.
of us at Disneyland.
Disneyland.
I only saw 2 possible Heartless, a fat body and a stalker. The stalker was only about 3 feet tall, licking a handrail, all in black. So
licking a handrail.
It was like a 3-year-old kid.
Oh, okay.
He had the little Mickey ears on, and he had black.
Did the
black
parents
coat
at
on.
least go, "Hey, don't lick the handrail"?
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't doing it for very long. It was just...
Okay, good. Because you know, like, poor child. Oh God, see, this is why we've invented leashes, people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, great trip. There'll be pictures online here shortly. So.
Oh yeah, I got to see some of them. They're pretty cool. Like.
Yeah.
I like how you just snapped a selfie. Not a selfie, I'm sorry. You snapped a picture of the picture that they take of you and post on the fucking thing at Splash Mountain. You're just like, fuck this. I'm not buying it. Click.
Oh no! See, I bought it, and what we had to do was we had to take the picture of the code, and it would add it to our photo package.
Oh.
So what I did was I just cropped that out so nobody else could get to it, and posted that. And the look of sheer terror on my face on Splash Mountain is gonna be worth it for you guys.
Actually, the look of sheer terror on Cuteness's face
is
actually worth
that's
it.
True.
How did she? Okay, this is my question because I don't know if the listeners know this, but this was her first time at Splash Mountain. How did she react? Or not Splash Mountain, at Disneyland. How did she react?
Oh, she freaking loved it. Best trip of her life. Yeah, so yeah, I ended up getting us character dining with Goofy's Kitchen. So we hung out with Chip and Dale, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, Goofy. I missed the little song and dance routine that they had done to one of the songs because I was getting a custom omelet made, which was freaking amazing, the size of a football, and weighed
Jesus!
And it weighed the amount of a VW bug.
Oh, that's nice.
It was pretty amazing. Totally worth it. I would highly suggest if you guys can afford it, definitely go do it.
Okay, that sounds good. Like I said, I was actually more excited for you and Cuteness to go than like if I was going because it was a very exciting like it's been forever. It'd be cool if we all go one day, and if we do.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely got to go. And nerds out there, if anybody's been there recently and been able to do it, and I haven't, can somebody explain to me why Peter Pan is always 60 minutes to an hour and a half long fucking wait?
Maybe because everyone loves Peter Pan.
That's true.
Or I got 2 words for you: Game Ranger.
That's what it is. It was the freaking Game Ranger popularized it. That's why everyone wanted to see what the hell's going on with this.
Everyone's like, the Game Ranger. He looks just like Peter Pan. Yeah. For some reason.
How come this kid's not cussing?
Yeah, exactly. Last time I saw him online, he was just every other word was the F word.
Yeah.
You know, what the
and a couple of racial slurs. But yeah, okay. So on topic. So what we need to discuss, and Wild and I agree on a lot of things, but I think there's certain things that we do disagree on as far as when you would introduce different things. This has been something that's always been on the mind since sci-fi and for a very long time, actually. Isaac Asimov, Robin Williams, Millennial Man.
Yeah, Millennial Man's actually the perfect example for that. But go on, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It just came.
No, not at all. Yeah, and at what point do you say, okay, something is either intelligent enough or self-aware enough that you start imposing civil rights and the human rights to a machine?
Mm-hmm. And Star Trek did it rather well. I mean, especially in the Next Generation when they introduced Data as a character. Because Data, of course, was a machine who had self-awareness. It knew what it was. He knew what he was. I mean, he spoke a certain way. See, I'm having issues with it right now because I'm trying to refer to him as it and he.
Right.
So now imagine that. Imagine like we meet our first Wall-E robot or something like that, and it comes up to us and Wall-E, and you're like, "Fucking get away from me!" And you kick it and it goes, "Ouch."
Yeah. Why was I programmed to feel pain?
But my point being is that there's that. When do you start paying respect to your toaster oven?
Which begs the question: if you do start introducing civil rights and human rights to things. Does turning off a computer become murder? Does damaging it become assault? At what point do you say that? Because you can say, well, if it's intelligent, then it has to have some kind of rights. Well, a plant is intelligent. On some levels, it will send signals to other plants. It has pheromones that it sends out. It reproduces. It is actively growing. It requires nourishment. But we don't consider it to have rights. Now, I know there's some really freaky people out there.
Well, there's people that like think that
that the trees will rise up and kill us all, or because
they're not hugging it.
Not hugging it. Yeah, but we don't generally go, well, you can't cut your grass because it's alive.
No. In fact, people tell us to cut our grass because they don't like the fact that it grows so big long. But yeah, but the thing is I think that what makes self-awareness an actual thing, and when I say self-awareness, I mean trees know they're alive. I guess to an extent. I can't say I'm not a fucking tree. Certain things know they're alive, but what makes self-awareness a real thing is the fact that you don't want to die, like the fact that you try to avoid death, like you're gonna do everything you can to stay alive. What's the word for that? There's a word for that.
Self-preservation.
Self-preservation. Thank you. The fact that when self-preservation comes into the actual the actual scene, that's when I think that it's an actual an intelligence. It's self-aware. That's when the whatever it is may possibly should get respect. Now that on the other hand, we have fucking cattle and stuff like that where
and they avoid predators.
Yeah, and they're self-aware.
Don't necessarily avoid someone trying to tip them or a car.
No, but I love beef, so I really don't care.
Yeah.
I'm a meat eater. I love myself a steak. So I mean, in that same breath, there's there's that argument, but at the same time, they're cattle.
Right. No, but at the same time, I think that even you and I would agree that if somebody was just going out and just started punching a cow in the face or kicking it and just beat it to death, we'd be pissed.
Oh yeah.
Because that is disrespectful. That is a living creature.
I'm not whatever. I'm not that. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't get upset about shit like that often, but I think that if someone I'll be like, dude, stop being a douchebag. That cow didn't do shit to you. Why are you punching it and kicking it?
Right. And then, and I fish, and when I fish and I foul hook a fish or I hook it too deep and it dies, I actually feel bad because my intention was not to kill that fish.
Well, my intention is to eat fish. If I fish,
well, yeah, if you can,
fish.
Yeah. I don't. Okay, where I fish, there's a lot of mercury in the water. You don't want it.
Well, that's different. Catch and release.
Yeah.
That's where
catch.
Yeah, but I mean, catch and release is good for me. If I catch too many of a certain fish, that's different. And that's the point. There is that kind of preservation where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you go live, little fishy, and the rest are mine. They're dinner.
Yeah, because now think about this though. Like we were saying with the self-preservation. Let's say somehow I created a robot that I'm not fucking. And I know this is what makes it hard to imagine.
Yeah.
So
I would, especially if I would. Oh God. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
And I have made it so that it can learn to interact with the environment, and it is programmed to identify dangers, like don't put a hand in the fire because it could get damaged. Don't walk off the edge of a cliff. If a car's coming, get out of the way. To make it have a self-preservation.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, would that be because of the programming? Is that what you're getting to?
Right.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That's my question. Now, at that point, it's not so it might be sentient. It knows it's a machine. It knows not to do certain things, and it is acting in a way to preserve itself from getting damaged. Is it actually sentient and intelligent enough that we should assign it a human right, or is it only acting in a way that I have actually told it to act?
I want to say in this situation, especially if it's just doing what you do, like doing what it's programmed to, like get out of the way of a car, don't put its hand in the fire or face in the fire or vagina in the fire, because my robots can have a vagina. So don't basically damage itself, because keep it in pristine condition. I think that would be just programming, because now say if it if it went out and like you didn't program it to, I don't know, not like jump in a pool or something, right?
Yeah.
Say you didn't program it to do that, and it just decided not to do that. That's when I think that comes into play, because it's actually learning.
But I have programmed it to identify dangers.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know what a certain danger is? I mean, that's the beauty of human life, is that you learn. You learn that fire's hot. You learn that porcupines poke you. You learn that you learn not to kick a cactus. That's the thing. And like with a robot,
some people still haven't learned their lesson from that.
Yes. With a robot, in that situation, it's never done that before. So if it sees that there's water, and maybe if it already knows, maybe it's learned.
Right, but again, if the algorithm is built in to learn that behavior and identify, wait, I know that water has these properties. I can detect chlorine. It's down that far. I haven't been programmed on how to navigate through it. Therefore, I'm not going in it. But that's part of the algorithms that I've programmed into it to learn.
Yeah, that would be, that wouldn't be like...
Right, so then at what point do you start saying, well, it is sentient? And that brings up with the argument of something being sentient versus sapient.
Well, I'll say this. Data was a good example for that.
Mm-hmm.
He's Data from, the Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation. He was programmed to say certain things, like, perfect English, I will, I will not.
Yeah, he didn't use contractions.
And after a while, there were times when he started doing that.
Yes, I noticed that in the series. That was very smart.
Which means that, he was a little more than just a smart robot.
Yeah.
Which was really, really kind of interesting to me, especially in the series. And we'll of course we'll get into more into that when we have our Star Trek episode. Yeah. But I think that right there is the perfect example for that per se, because he did learn. He didn't learn because of his programming. Maybe it had a little bit of play into it, but he learned because of experience. He learned the way humanity learns.
Right, and I think that's actually a really good example, because he literally started going outside of his original programming to the point where his programming could not explain what he was doing or why he would react the way he was. And it was actually brought up a few times as Data, you've never done that before. Why did you do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like, he even dreamt.
Yeah. Right, and that again, it was explained, that was explained. There is the argument that, well, there was that programming, he just wasn't ready for it. So that means different programming was allowing him to get to that point. But yeah, there were several times where he would, in the series, where it would be brought up, he would do things out of what people would assume to be his normal character.
Mm-hmm. Which made it interesting, and Data was one of the more interesting characters because of that on the Next Generation.
Now, you also have, with like the argument, not just machines, but something like a program itself. Like, let's use, with the Star Trek thing with Voyager, the medical hologram.
Oh, God, yeah, that's an amazing example. Go on with that.
At different times, to change his personality, he would take, outside of his scripted programming, he would start taking personalities from different programs in the computers and different holographic novels and stuff like that, and start incorporating him himself. And at one point, to understand humans better, he created himself a family.
Yep, that's a good episode. I'm not a big fan of Voyager, but that's a good episode.
Yeah, that for me, in that episode, changed things for me with him, because that is outside of what he should have been able to do. Yes. At that point, like when he wrote that holo play, and they argued, hey, look, he is a sentient being. He was not programmed to be able to do this, and he has gone outside his programming. And they said, hey, look, we're not ready to say that he is human or a sapient being.
Well, they even brought Data up as an example.
Yeah, that to me kind of changed things with it. Just like people are saying, well, if something's sentient, then it should be protected. Well, a dog's sentient, a rabbit's sentient, cows are sentient, birds are sentient.
Well, dogs are kind of protected, for the most part, not necessarily like,
Right, and that's where I agree. Now, when something's sentient, absolutely. Like, if we go to another planet, let's say we end up 175,000 light years away, and
God, we're in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, we're in the Delta Quadrant. Oh my God, there's life here. Now, there's not intelligent life, say, creatures with civilizations and political ideas and religion.
The equivalent of like a bug or something.
Right. Let's say there's a bunch of giant bugs that are intelligent enough. Yeah. They're intelligent enough to identify this is something different. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna stay away. And they have a structure similar to like a praying mantis, but much more advanced because of their size and everything else. We should say, wait a minute, these are a sentient creature. We can't just wipe them off the face of this planet.
Yeah, but we can't take one back to study.
Yeah.
That won't hurt nothing, Yeah. It's cool. We'll just cut it open and make its life, what's left of it, a living hell.
See, that's where my argument is, that something will have to become sapient before we start ushering in civil rights to it. And what that means is...
That's good logic.
Yeah. See, humans, we can do something and say, if I hit this person, there's certain things that are going to happen. And there's consequences on top of that. And there's other things involved with that. And there's things that are going to happen to me in regards to that, both legal and physical, emotional. That's the difference between sentient and sapient. A dog might go, this person's dangerous, I'm going to bite him to protect myself. But the dog's not going to go, if I bite this person, I'm going to go and get killed and put down because they're going to test me for rabies. I'm never going to see my owner again. They don't have that kind of cognitive ability.
No, it's a fight or flight, and that's all it is.
Right. And I think that's what would have to separate an AI versus an animal. Now, just like in games, you have AI, but not true AI. Not like we were introduced to AI in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of if-then situations going on in AI games right now. So basically, if you see a player within this distance and they're doing this, act like this, unless you're here and you're doing this and you're on this level and there's this pathway, there's a bunch of if.
And if they're kneeling, it's a little harder to notice them.
Right. Yeah, you duck your head 6 inches and suddenly you're invisible.
Yeah,
Stuff like that, like on Skyrim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, here, this is what begs the question, though. Let's say that we use most people's definition of intelligence. And what I'm going to say is something that reacts to its environment, within its environment, and understands certain, let's say, variables, and reacts accordingly, and knows to run when it's hurt, can identify danger, and has certain needs within the game, such as it has to go certain times to a certain area. It knows it has to sit down and have this virtual wine. It has to sit down and eat this virtual bread. Okay? Mm-hmm. At that point, using most people's definition of intelligence, that computer program or that NPC, that whatever it is in that game, is intelligent. And we have to grant it a right. So when I shut off the game, am I terminating intelligence?
Nope, you're just putting it to sleep.
Right, but do you have the right to do that as another intelligent being? Do you have the right to impose your will against them?
See, like if it was that situation, that's where that question would come in interesting. But like, fortunately enough, right now our AIs aren't smart. It doesn't go, like if that would actually be scary because I can imagine playing like Skyrim or something and
please don't kill me.
The character looks at you and goes, "Can't do bad fuck face," and the character looks at you and goes, "I'm not ready for sleep yet, Dave."
Yeah.
And that's another good example right there.
Oh, yes.
The HAL.
Odyssey 3000. Yeah. The HAL, yeah.
HAL, it didn't want to die. That right there is a big indication of, of self-preservation.
I can't let you do that, Dave.
Daisy.
That was creepy.
Oh, I loved it, dude.
That scene was creepy.
That was a good movie.
Shall I sing you a song, Dave? Sure, Hal. You go ahead and do that.
And he saw Dave as a friend too. I mean,
yep.
He kind of knew, like he had to have known. It had to have known what he was doing.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
Just like, I'm not gonna harm you because we're buddies, And that makes it kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's like you put
friend.
down Old Yeller.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's like the computer equivalent to Old Yeller. I made myself sad.
I'm sad now.
Aw. Damn it.
Yeah. So once you do get something that has intelligence like this, let's say that a machine actually is sapient. And not only is it outside of any of its original programming, but it understands morality. It has its own ethics. It doesn't feel superior to people. It just wants to be people. Like on Blade Runner, the replicants just wanted to be people. They wanted to be left alone and be people. They wanted a long life. Because of that, we terminate them, which is freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah. You're not a person. You're gonna die. Wait, I can die. Well, you're still gonna die.
Crippling fear of death. It's so cool. Shout out to Team 4-Star. But yeah, so at that point, does attacking it become assault? It would have to be.
Yeah.
It would also have to be allowed to vote. It would have to be allowed all the civil protections under the Constitution.
It would have to be like an equal rights kind of thing in that situation. Now, I have a question for you. Put a Terminator in the same room with Data. Which one is which?
See, exactly. But I think the Terminator is still running off of a program. It is not intelligent enough or sapient enough.
It doesn't care if it dies. It cannot self-terminate, but it doesn't care if it dies because, I mean, a good example, of course, is Terminator 2. Where he's like, you must terminate me. And he's like, no, I love you. You're like the father I never had. No, I cannot self-terminate. You must terminate me. And he's like, oh, okay. And it was sad. And then he does the thumbs up. I remember being a kid. I was like, oh, you're an asshole. You're an asshole, Terminator. How dare you? How dare you make me love you and die? So, yeah, I would, in that aspect, I wouldn't say it's like very It's not. It doesn't self-preserve. So in that way, it's more just a machine than it is like anything else.
Yeah. Whereas, like you're saying, something like Data, or let's even use the robot from My Robot. I forget what its name was.
Forgot his name, but
it was based off of quite a few of Isaac Asimov's stories, like Liar. Let's go even further, and let's go into the funny Futurama robots.
Oh God!
Do those robots classify
those robots?
Those robots. Hey, I'm still getting over something.
That's okay. I think they called them robots at one point. In the series.
And I'm drinking whiskey and Coke too to help me get over this cold.
That's the perfect thing. Alcohol.
Alcohol. Drink, kids.
Drink.
Drink.
But drink responsibly.
I'm only drinking because I saw Bender do it.
Damn it.
They are intelligent. They have understanding of consequences because Bender, when he steals stuff, knows he has to hide it, even though he flaunts it, because he knows he can get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
So do those robots classify as needing rights?
Well, I would say they apparently do have rights if they can get arrested.
Well, because they're acting outside of what they were supposed to do. Bender's a bending robot, but he's stealing stuff.
Yeah, but they're not getting, he's not getting in trouble because he's a bending robot that's stealing stuff. He's getting in trouble because he's stealing stuff. So in that aspect, he's committing crimes, and to be able to commit crimes, you must have rights.
And you have to have an understanding of the right and wrong about it.
Yes. So, to be able to want to have objects, you must have some sort of ability to need. Therefore, you're a little more than self-aware. You're self-greedy.
Yeah.
So
now, do you hear this? Did you hear that?
He's beating his computer, everybody.
No, that's not me. That is a bunch of nerds right now ham-fisting their keyboards going, but what about consciousness?
Oh, consciousness. So
now,
what?
Here's a counter-argument to all of it. What is consciousness? Do you know?
I'm thinking. That's kind of a big question for someone who's kind of drunk.
Actually, it's a big question for everyone because we don't have a true definition for it. And no one can even explain what consciousness is. If I could say what consciousness is,
it would be self-awareness, self-awareness, self-preservation, to the point of being awake and knowing what's around you.
But here's this. Have you ever been sitting there watching TV, or even on the shitter, as we're getting older here,
oh yeah,
falling asleep and not realize that you slipped into a dream?
Oh, shit, I do that all the time when I sleep.
Okay, so where did your self-awareness go?
You died a little.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Quantum immortality for the win.
You basically became a freaking a force ghost,
So oh God.
Oh, Luke! Boo!
Luca, he was your father. Where the fuck did Mario get in here?
I was gonna say, when did Mario become Jar Jar Binks?
Yahoo!
Ernie! Hey!
Yeah.
I can do a backflip.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So yeah, hey, Mario, get the hell out of here.
Oh.
Yeah. So
he's sad.
Prove that you're conscious. Prove that you're real, that you are conscious. Prove to me that you are an actual conscious being.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm still here. There's your proof. I
but
ain't
you
dead.
to me that
That's
you
what
are
my proof is. I am not dead. My proof is that I'm not dead. When I am dead, I'm no longer conscious.
No, yeah, but okay, here's the thing. What about all the out-of-body experiences that are so vivid and so accurate that no one can explain that with consciousness outside the body?
That's a force ghost.
Okay, a force ghost. Okay. I want my lightsaber when I die.
Misa's so horny.
So,
Damn it.
yeah. That brings the problem of what is consciousness? How do you prove consciousness? We
Well, it's
really
hard.
can't. We
It's
don't
hard.
even really understand it. Because think about it. When people are sedated, like actually under anesthetic and they're knocked out, they don't dream.
I wanna be sedated. Sorry.
They are just out. They don't dream. They don't do everything. And that's one of the theories. Like, and they're even bring that up in things like aliens and stuff like that. And what was that? Earth 2.
Well, it's a different kind of sleep. Like, it's not REM. It's like
Right.
you're
You
out.
never actually slip into it. We don't know what happens to the brain. It's really weird. Certain functions just completely shut off and other ones don't activate and other ones are it's just really
I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's not REM sleep.
No, it's not REM sleep. REM sleep is rapid eye movement. That's when you're actually dreaming and your eyes are moving back and forth and stuff like that. It's also when you wake up the most pissed off.
Really?
Yeah. If you were in a certain
when
sleep
you have
mode.
when you have a good dream and you wake up, you're pissed. You're waking up.
It makes you mad. Yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah.
Hate it when I get woke up from a good dream.
Yep. But you don't dream. So where does the consciousness go? At that point, you're not conscious. But you're not technically dead, but you don't have consciousness as we understand it.
So does a robot have consciousness?
Right. So where does the consciousness argument fall into play? You can't say, well, the robot's self-aware, the robot has a need for fuel and stuff like that, because let's put it this way. You know how to avoid danger. You have learned that. You've also understand your body automatically will tear up if looking at a bright light. If you're emotionally drained, you will tend to cry. If something jumps out at you, you tend to have a fight or flight response. You consume fuel. You seek maintenance.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the same thing as a robot,
more or less. You know,
right?
If you're sick, you gotta go to a mechanic.
Yeah. Now here, kinda.
Yeah, more or less.
Now here's the interesting thing. When I played Fallout 4, I did not view the what do you call those things? The synths. Yeah, the synths as people until I saw them being made.
See, I didn't get that far.
Now, spoiler alerts.
Yes.
Divert yourselves for a while. Basically, what it was originally, they were making machines covered in stuff that looked like flesh as best they could, basically like a Terminator.
Well, the first, like the Terminator before the 101 or 100 series.
Right, the 800 series or something like that, whatever it was, easy identify.
For those nerds out there that love Terminator.
Yeah, the new ones, you have to have dogs. They can tell. Well, the new synths are put together by growing bones, making muscle, making all the cardiovascular, and then their brain is basically uploaded with information from the previous person. But everything about them is stronger, longer lived, more resistant, because they've been genetically created that way.
They've been rebuilt.
They've been rebuilt. Better, stronger than they were before.
And faster, and with a bigger boner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, twice the size.
Nerd boner.
Nerd boner. Once I saw that, it changed my thinking on the synths. Because there comes a point where you go, okay, that is machine, this is biological.
Yeah.
And I think once it became biological and it had the original memories and found out that it was created and stuff like that and was like, oh my god, everything I knew, and it had that panic attack, it's not programmed to do that.
I just had a thought.
That's what the difference for me.
I just had a thought.
Okay, no more spoilers.
I can imagine, like, waking up one day, like, being built from, like a synth, like the last whatever synth, the last edition synth, and I'm like, oh, dude, I feel good. And you're eating dinner and, just going through a good day, and all of a sudden you get this memory, kill all humans. Why do I want to kill all humans?
And that was one of the things. The synths would randomly go out of their way to attack people.
Yeah, like, all of a sudden, I just want to kill you. Sorry. You have to die. I am my great descendant was the Hal. I don't trust humans no more. My best friend killed me. It all comes back. It all comes back to Hal.
It all comes back to you. So yeah, that's what changed everything. Now, at the same time, here's what's fucked up. Back to spoilers real quick. When I have the choice of taking his synth son, who is constantly saying, "Daddy, don't leave me. Dad, please. Dad, I love you. Dad, don't leave me again." I kept having my character say, "That is not my son," because it wasn't.
No.
Everything about it might be identical, but it is not the same. It's the same paradox, and I forget what exactly it's called. I will look this up as I'm explaining it.
But you can't, like, physically it isn't. Like, it isn't. It just isn't. Yeah, so...
Yeah. So you have a paradox that is named... Hold on, let's see here.
It's called the blow blam blue paradox.
Yeah.
I'm making shit up now, guys. It's called the fucky you hard.
The paradox of Theseus ship is what it's called.
Wait, the paradox of Theseus ship or shit?
Ship.
Ship. Okay.
Yeah.
I like shits better, but go on.
Yeah. So this is the way I saw it with this, and now while I would say he deserves the rights and he deserves to be protected and stuff like that, the paradox of Theseus ship says this: you have a ship and it's your original ship, and over the course, well, no, Theseus was the owner.
Oh well, okay.
We're getting real dangerously close to being back to the parody opening.
Fuck you.
I don't want to die, man. All right, so Theseus is the owner of the ship. That's his ship, and you are Theseus. You have this ship, and over the course of 10 years, you slowly make repairs. You take out nails and put new nails in. You take out boards and put new boards in. Over the course of 10 years, you have off to the side the pieces of the original ship, but in front of you, you have the ship. Is it the original ship?
No.
No, it's not. That's not the ship. The ship
remake.
is sitting behind you pieces.
It's a remake.
So
it's like
that's
you can't say like the Enterprise D is the original Enterprise.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, it's the same thing. That's why I saw this. So even though it's put together and everything about it is pretty much the player's son, that was not his kid.
Well, in that situation, it's fucked up because it looks like his son, and with him just yesterday, he saw his son.
Yeah, and the most fucked up thing I think with that is let's use the synths as our analog for AI, true AI.
Yeah.
They have taken someone, ripped them apart, murdered them,
dicks,
and rebuilt something else. Now, this new thing has consciousness, it has intelligence, and it has sapience. Everything about it should be that original person, but it's not. Now,
well, the memories, I would say, being that they're from the original person, and that's what makes it fucked up,
Right.
That's where the movie AI goes into play. But
yeah.
we'll get into that, too. That's another good example. But
yeah, so where does the argument, with now that we've gotten sapience, intelligence, consciousness, the soul? We have to get a little philosophical with that.
Oh, what's nerdism without philosophy?
Right. Now, let's use AI as an example, because it actually does kind of go into it.
All right.
AI.
AI is good. AI is a damn good example. Yeah.
Now, especially throughout the movie, the kid has feelings. It loves its mother.
Oh, it's programmed to love its mom. So
yeah,
it's stuck with that feeling of eternal love.
Yes, and at the very end, robots or aliens who are not actually aliens, who are actually robots. Spoiler, unless you read the fucking script, because trust me, nobody would ever figure that out. These aliens are not aliens, they were actually robots in the future, have learned to bring back a consciousness kind of like a synth, and do everything. Now, this kid, I guess, Haley Joel Osment's character.
Cute Haley Joel Osment, not,
druggy
Haley
Sora.
I don't know if he's a druggie, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, but Sora.
Yeah, Sora.
Kingdom Hearts Sora. Has all this. Now, does he have a soul? It's like the whole the ghost in the machine thing.
Yeah, very much so. It's obvious he doesn't want to die, and that's the question of the movie. That big question of the movie is, does he have a soul? He's looking for the blue fairy. It's very Pinocchio-esque, in that aspect.
And to keep our other anime fans here happy too, we'll bring up Ghost in the Shell. Mm-hmm. And it's even brought up at one point that no matter how analog the computers become, they can never produce a ghost. And they have said this, especially the Tachikomas. No matter how digital you become, you always have this ghost in your machine. You have a soul. But no matter how more human all the robots in that got, they could never actually get that feeling of having a ghost in their shell, as they called it. And it
Satan
really kind of
in the
brings
machine.
So at what point, Satan in the machine.
Sorry, I just
it would have to be something more like
Satan. Cthulhu
you have
in the machine.
Ghost in the Shell, Satan in the machine, that works. We'll go with that. So at what point, now we've talked about how, machines, at what point do you consider them to be protected and get them rights? Do you then go, okay, this person no longer has rights because they're more machine?
Yeah, see, that makes sense.
Because you have to argue the other side. Because at some point there is a crossover.
Well, how about this? Let's reverse it. I think that's where you're getting to.
Yep.
When a human gets so many machine parts inside it, it's like maybe 20% human, 80% machine. Does it lose its rights? Is it going
right?
Does it go to the scrapyard instead of jail?
Yeah. So at what point? Because you have to say, okay, at this point, a machine gets rights. Well, at what point does a human lose rights? No matter how unhuman it becomes, does a brain? Let's say we were able to take the brain of somebody's severed head and put it in intubation, and the person's, for whatever reason, through technology, and it has these electrodes hooked up, it can perfuse to the brain, so the brain's getting oxygen. There is synthetic blood flowing through.
You're basically talking about RoboCop.
Yeah, okay, yes, let's use RoboCop. At what point is RoboCop now, because he's
what
basically...
What time is Murph... What one point did Murphy lose his rights as a human? And that was obvious in the movie. The movie was the moment he got killed and he was dead, presumed dead, and his brain was put in this shell,
robot shell,
and some of his body and stuff too was used. The point is when he started remembering and the memories started coming back, they refused his rights.
Yep.
But he demanded rights. In the long run, us as the viewer were like, damn, dude, he's still Murphy, kind of, sort of. Mm-hmm. He can't bone down on his wife, but, at least give him some rights. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Gives whole new meaning to that statement.
Oh, yes.
So, because I know a lot of people who will go, well, no, you can never deny a human their rights, no matter how computerized they get. Was it at 50% they lose their right? At 75%? At 25% they lose their rights? And what was that? There was a really cool game that was on the PS2 that was broken up into 3 different games. It was Xenosaga.
Was it oh yeah, because the main weapon was like a robot tot chick that barely wore clothes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, but I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the guy who was a cyborg.
Oh, that's right, the cyborg guy that was like basically used to be a badass assassin or some shit.
Yep, and he got real hurt.
I was actually thinking about him. Yeah.
And they said, you are more machine than you are human. You don't have any rights anymore.
Well, he didn't have any emotions either. He was very bland.
Well, he did have emotion, but he had learned to hide them because it didn't matter.
Xenosaga was good. It was the best movie on the PS2.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
I say movie being like because it was more.
It was an interactive movie.
Yeah, it was more a movie than a game.
It's like that. So at what point do you go, okay, well, a human no longer has the rights? And I know like I said, there are people who will be screaming up and down. You can never, ever, ever deny someone their rights. They are always human, no matter how machine-like they get. Okay,
in a perfect world.
So then. Is the argument, no matter how human-like a machine gets, it's always a machine.
So you're reversing that, yeah. That's interesting.
So at what point do you have to say, well, there's a line that a machine has to cross, but a human can never cross that line?
So that Robin Williams movie where Bicentennial Man, where he started out as a robot and he's like, our mistress, I'll help you, and then like he slowly but surely kind of gets more implemented into a human.
Yep.
And towards the end, he actually gets old. He ages.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool too. I think it's because he fell in love with, and this is what's weird. He fell in love with his first owner's wife or something like that, right? And then they had a daughter and he fell in love with her.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh God.
Robin Williams likes to stir the pot.
Mother-daughter three-way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, those are the philosophical questions, and in the with the philosophy and the theology and stuff like that we have to ask. And like I said, with the soul, at what point do you go, okay, a machine can never have a soul, therefore it could never be granted these rights, or it's never going to be human enough, and killing it or disabling it is never killing it. Shutting it off is not murder.
Well, I mean, in AI, they had those robot fights, remember?
Right. Yeah, the flesh fairs.
Yeah, the flesh fairs were, and it really wasn't. I don't know, were they fighting each other or were they just like
They
going
were
up
destroying
against
them. Yeah, they were making them fight each other.
They were
and
putting them on like this thing, and they're all running from some device that would fucking destroy them.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, dude, this is fucked up. And you really, in my opinion, that was supposed to be Fantasy Island. That was, because that movie, like I said, greatly resembled Peter Pinocchio.
Yeah,
And
it was definitely like where everybody's going and literally becoming a jackass, or Pleasure Island. That's what it was.
Pleasure Island, yeah, because it's like the Pleasure Cave.
Yeah, that's the Pleasure Cave.
Pleasure Cave.
But I don't think we're ever really going to be able to answer that.
Not in our lifetime.
Yeah, not in our lifetime.
I think we're getting really close to some awesome achievements. I mean, with VR being as good as it is nowadays, and certain things.
Full dive, baby, full dive.
Oh, eventually.
Yeah, if anything, I will stay away from every fucking MMO because I've watched Sword Art Online.
I'm doing it. If I get stuck, dude. If I get stuck, I'm in there, dude. I'm cool. But no, I'm more for holodecks, bro.
Oh yeah,
which
is an interesting theory, and we'll get into the whole theory of Star Trek and stuff like that. And,
yes.
So nerds, what do you think? Let us know. I want to hear what everybody else thinks about it, and their ideas on things, and where do you guys draw the line? Do you draw a line?
Is there a line to be drawn? Would you have a pet robot? I think people do, though. I think people do now.
People do now. I know for a while they were real popular in Japan, like the robo puppies and stuff like that.
Well,
the cats, Tamagotchis.
I've even posted stuff like some certain robotic stuff on the Facebook, the podcast Facebook, because it was some really interesting stuff. There's like a robo butler kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, here's the big question. When can a robot service me?
I'm pretty sure you can get a robot to service you now. I just don't know.
I don't want to be burnt or have parts of me ripped off.
Oh, well then, I don't know, soon?
Hopefully.
Or not soon enough? I don't know.
Not in our generation. Oh.
Not in our generation, yeah.
If I'm reborn again, I want to be reincarnated when robot sex hookers come out.
Damn it.
Be sure to quote me on that. Robot sex hookers. #.
Okay, yep.
God damn it.
Damn it. All right, I think we're going to have to end on that. That's
yes. All right, everyone. If you have any comments, complaints, suggestions, or thoughts, be sure to post them on Facebook or Twitter. Again, if you want to be a guest or if you want to have something, hell, even said, I'm going to have a new segment coming out here called Life Advice from Uncle Bad Touch.
Oh, yes. And don't worry, we do have a little special at the end. Craigslist Valentine ads.
Oh yeah,
read by Lady Catherine.
Well, it's gonna be the best of Craigslist by
Lady
best Catherine, but it's gonna be a very special Valentine's ad. So, with that, everyone, we hope you have a good weekend. We'll see you next weekend. Stay sexy.
Stay sexy.
Welcome to the best of Craigslist, as told by Lady Catherine.
This is Lady Catherine with heart-shaped potato. Just in time for Valentine's Day, heart-shaped Yukon Gold potato. How perfect would it be to serve your sweetie a baked potato with an engagement ring stuck in the top? Found this potato in a 5-pound bag and didn't have the heart to eat it. If interested, please text me.